Hello and welcome to the official podcast of Palate Exposure, featuring Ilona Thompson, a podcast for those seeking the ultimate in wine, food, and travel. Each week she interviews winemakers, chefs, celebrities, and a variety of guests that shape the way we enjoy life.
Good afternoon from stunning Palm Springs. Just arrived, loving every moment, and I am very privileged to be here with Tony Marchese. And Tony has a lot of different things that he's engaged in, very exciting things. So Trio's Restaurant and also AC3, he's a partner. So he's the owner of Trio's and also Heat & Company. So thank you for having me, Tony.
Thank you.
I would love to just let our listeners in on your background. You said you're from Chicago originally.
I'm originally from Chicago.
Tell me all about it.
Yeah, I'm originally from Chicago, and I would come to Palm Springs just for fun, just for the weekends. And then I was selling real estate at the time, and a friend, one of my customers said, "Hey, I bought this condo really cheap in Palm Springs." I'm like, "No, I like Palm Springs." Sure. So another one came up, and then I just started coming here. All of a sudden, one day I was hiking in the mountains. I'm like, you know what? I need to move here. I was 40 at the time. I wanted to change my life and left real estate world and came out here. I did real estate for a little while, but then I really wanted to, truth be known, I lost everything because the market crashed here. So I bought all this real estate and it crashed.
Oh my goodness.
So then I made a decision that I wanted to get back into hospitality because I was in the bar business and restaurant business in Chicago before real estate. So I'm like bar, restaurant, real estate, bar, restaurant again.
Yeah.
So at the time I met my now ex-partner, but my partner Mark, who was a chef. I'm like, well, hey, let's open a restaurant. I'll be in the front of the house, you'll be the back of the house, and let's do it. So we did, and that's how Trio became. We opened in 2009 when the market was still not great, but rents were lower. So that helped us the first couple of years. And Trio, God bless, just took off.
Well, the food and the cocktails, for that matter, look stunning, and you guys will see some images on the website. But I'm curious about your family of origin. Were you exposed to food and?
Well, I'm Italian and half Polish.
Yeah, I was going to say.
So there's always food around in those families, big
food
holidays.
Was part of the.
Yeah, and as a kid, I started working at 13 for this Italian family that owned an Italian delicatessen, and they kind of taught me everything. And then instead of going to college, I had a pizza place, so I started right away into it, and then I got out of it back and forth, and I've done a lot of things. But my passions always come from when I owned the bars and I owned the restaurants. I love people walking out smiling and they're having a good time, and it's all it's a family thing. It's cool to see that.
The moment we met, your greeting, it was so open. You had a big smile on your face, and we just met.
Yeah.
And I could tell that hospitality runs in your blood, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's fun. I enjoy it.
Yes. So.
And hence why I do so many different things.
Yes.
I don't have to do all the things I do, but I like doing it.
Talk about busy. I mean, restaurant business arguably is the toughest business on the planet.
If you love it, though. It makes it easier.
That's the secret, because it's not a job then, it's a passion.
It's just something you do every day, and
Yes.
Yeah.
So you're 40, which is now second half of your life, and you decide to go.
Now I'm 57. This was 10 years ago when I moved here.
But that's a big decision to make.
Yeah, because I was leaving a great business. I own a real estate company there, and I knew some people here just from coming the year or two that had the condo, but there's just some kind of calling I had. Those mountains are very magical when you walk, you hike through them, and it's like, I need to be here. Yeah. So it didn't start off well, but it's been amazing the last 10 years. So
what was the concept of Trio? How did you begin?
Well, Trio initially was food, art, and sound was the three.
Food, art, and sound, got it.
My ex-partner Mark had a restaurant in Door County, Wisconsin called Trio, but there was three of them. So he liked the name Trio, so I came up with the concept of food, art, and sound. Because when you walk in the restaurant, the energy's always good, the music's always pumping.
Yes.
And it's like a feel-good place. And the artwork we change out every so often, and we have local artists, and we give money back to our local charities if someone buys it off the wall.
I noticed that you have quite a few plaques. You're very charitable as a
Over the
business.
Years, we have.
So, food.
Yeah, food. Well, it's evolving. It's always been an American concept.
Got it.
We call it a comfort food with a California twist.
I love that.
Yeah.
Who doesn't love comfort food?
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. One of our number one dishes is pot roast.
Really?
Whether it's a summer at 110 degrees or we're selling pot roast and lamb shank. It's crazy, but it's true.
That's awesome. And your audience, I mean, is it just...
Oh, it's everybody. It's really amazing. So if you're a fly on the wall and you're there from early, so it's probably, we have early bird specials, so we have happy hour and early bird. So those are probably older folks, maybe 60, late 50s, 60, 70. You know,
Yeah.
As the night progresses, the crowd gets younger. So after 8 o'clock, you got LA, San Diego, Orange County, 30,
Sure.
40 to 25, you know, the younger crowd. And so it's really cool to watch the whole turn to a night of how the different kind of customers come in.
Nice.
Yeah.
And your beverage program, tell me a little bit about that. Are you running it, or do you have a designated?
I run it, but they come up with the ideas. You
Yeah.
know, so I let my staff really participate in all that. We have some great cocktails, and our wine list. The last 2 years, we've won the Wine Spectator Award, which I'm really happy and proud about. Yeah,
That's a big deal.
Yeah. So we have the first category, which is like 101 bottles of wine.
Oh my
It's
goodness.
the single glass, but. You know, I was really excited about that. So every year, make sure to get it right and do different wines and stuff like that. Yeah. So yeah, Trio is just like one of my staff calls it Trio's. Working at Trio is not a job; it's a lifestyle. It's become that's everyone's name. We're very committed to the community. Is very committed to us. We're committed to them. And, you know, so it's a really love thing. You know, kind of.
It's very hands-on. It sounds like it's a very intimate thing for you. You hear all the time. You're really very
I mean, I have other businesses, but when I'm here. And the staff, though, we have an amazing staff, and it's just their reflection of me and who I want them to be in the room as if I was in the room. So they're always friendly with everybody. You know, certain people ask for Dominic, and certain have certain favorites, and so it's become that kind of a restaurant.
That's
you know,
so
people have certain tables, and
I mean, I feel like everything is going towards personalization and experience. It's not. I mean, yes. When the food is stellar and, you know, there's plenty of opportunity to have a great cocktail or a great glass of wine. But what pushes it over the edge and makes it memorable is that personalized, intimate connection that you feel with the establishment.
I think, look, you could have a decent meal.
Yeah.
But your server's amazing and your experience is amazing. That's what you're going to remember, right? So it's good to have all three.
Yeah.
But really the main is the service and the feeling that you get inside and you want to come back.
Yeah, I'm sure you have regulars that's probably been patrons forever.
Yeah, one just passed away, the poor guy. But he's been coming almost every day for happy hour since we opened.
What?
Yeah.
17 years?
Yeah, no, 11 years, going on 11 years.
Yeah. That's
crazy.
That's loyalty.
So I put a little plaque at the end where you always had in honor of him.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah, it's cute. And the customers love it. So they're all like into it. Yeah, so it's nice.
So I have to ask you, what is your favorite meal?
Oh.
A horrible question always, because it's like,
you know, it's funny. I'm a funny guy. When I go eat at the restaurant, which is probably many times a week,
of course,
I actually look at the menu and I pretend like I'm in another restaurant so I can try different things, because I got so consistent in my life. Our skirt steak's really great. Our pot roast is number one. So how world evolved. So when we first opened for many years, it was pot roast and our whitefish were the two main dishes, right? And then roasted chicken. Now it's pot roast, ahi tuna. So you can see how the world has changed over the last almost 11 years,
And of course, farm to table is big, particularly in California. Everyone seems to be going that direction. Do you source your?
We do. You probably don't know this, but I think it's 90% of the dates are grown here in the Coachella Valley for all over the country, United States.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, we have like a 500 billion dollars. It's a huge. We have a huge agricultural, all through the Coachella Valley. Green peppers, red peppers. They grow grass out here for the stadiums. This is all new to me, and I went on a tour, and I went on this amazing date farm tour and all these other agricultural farming. And who knew? I mean, there's a lot out here.
That's kind of counterintuitive, because you don't think of a desert as something that's lush and fertile and has all this options.
No, it's amazing. Actually, it would be good someday for you to do a podcast with the date farmers, and I have a connection for you.
I'm in. You guys stay tuned. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, I went on this. I was so like, we were supposed to have a 45-minute meeting with this guy. It was 4 hours. And every time we went to someplace else, I'm like, that's amazing. I got to go back to work. That's amazing. I got to go back. It was crazy to watch how we actually picked dates off of it. It was so cool.
That's awesome.
So cool.
No, I'm like, stories like that turn me on so much, because things kind of reveal themselves when you're not necessarily looking, but you're intentional, like curious.
Yeah.
And that's what it sounds like. You stumbled upon like this treasure.
Oh, it was this one date farm has 100 sheep. The only purpose is they let them out. They eat the weeds and they fertilize the ground, and that's all they do is they herd them out, herd them in every day. It was amazing. It was like in the middle of this herd of like sheep coming down.
That is so
It
cool.
was so cool. So
Yeah.
actually this year at the festival, we have the Date Commission as a sponsor. So they'll have a booth. And then one of my friends, a date farmer, he's going to have a booth, and we're having a date camp that people learn about different dates.
Date camp. I love that.
Yeah.
It sounds
'Cause
so
there's
romantic.
so many different, there's so many different dates, you have no idea, And I think it's 90% in the United States are grown here in the Coachella Valley.
I'm developing a newfound respect for dates because I really pretty much ignored them.
I
up
think
to
they're
this
like the
point.
next avocado, to be honest with you.
Really? They have a lot of nutritional values.
They're healthy, and yeah, it's really unbelievable.
No, I'm getting a sense, even like walking around downtown, that there's a sense of that intimacy, that closeness that you don't necessarily get. Just,
Palm Springs is a special place. We have these
Yeah.
mountains, they're very spiritual, and they kind of ground us. And
yeah.
I tell a funny story. Years ago, we met these people here at the restaurant. Lovely, great.
Yeah.
We're in LA, we ran into them. They were not so lovely and so great. So when people come to Palm Springs, they lose all their premise and they become really nice and friendly and relaxed, and and then they go back home to their world. It's what they are, But it's interesting to see the difference when people come here.
What you're describing is really fascinating, actually, that they sort of shed their stress and their perhaps, the need, some internal need to be something else, and maybe
Right.
being everything to everybody.
Yeah.
So here they can be themselves more, right? Is that accurate?
Totally. Look, Robert Downey Jr. has been to the trio many times because his in-laws live out here.
How fun.
Not one person bothered him. It was like, we've had a lot of people that come in and they're just, Leo DiCaprio has a house right down the road, here.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, and he rides his bike up and down Palm Canyon. So Palm Springs is like, there's no paparazzi around here or anything.
It feels very casual, like there's like this sense of acceptance and
Yeah.
just camaraderie, and you can't put your finger on it, but I just got here and I'm sensing it.
Yeah. Well, it has a lot of big events. Like we just finished the film festival.
Yeah, and that's a
which is
big deal.
Huge.
Yeah.
And then starting the 14th is Modernism Week. So it's 10 days of like 100,000 people are in town just touring and seeing everything that Palm Springs has to offer. And they move down Valley too, though.
And when you're surrounded by such beauty, like I said, the mountains are so majestic, and the vibe is so cool and chill. It's like you just want to be here.
Yeah.
I'm sure
No,
people
it's
keep
cool.
coming back.
Before I lived here, I would get off a plane and drive to my condo, and I'd just look at the mountain and just feel everything just relax.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So you've been watching the food scene evolve, like you said. Now it's tuna. It used to be just heavier proteins. Tell me a little bit about like what it's been like for the last 11 years being a restaurateur. What's been
Well,
happening?
it's changed. I mean, there's definitely. People come and go. Everyone wants to own a restaurant.
Of course.
Like, if you don't have any experience, why do you want to own a restaurant?
It's so hard. It's such
It's
hard
not
work.
an easy business,
No.
But overall, up here where Trio is, it's called the Uptown Design District.
Yes.
And there was only 3. I think there's about 8 restaurants up here now, and we're all really close. We work with each other if we need to, if we run out of something, and we'll direct people if we're busy. And so up here has become a really great neighborhood because there's Trina Turks up here, there's a bunch of galleries and a lot of mid-century stores, and it's just become, and now Modernism is actually right here on the corner where that big tent is. I don't know if you went that way, but so all the people will be in this neighborhood. It's the energy is like crazy. It's so much fun. Yeah.
Yes, and it's kind of a communal space as well. So a lot of people know each other, I suspect.
Totally.
So you totally interacting with each other all the time, and there's this camaraderie, like I said, the spirit of inclusiveness really permeates everything.
And then the last few years, downtown has been all redone. So there's a new Kimpton Hotel down there and a bunch of new retail stores, and so the city keeps growing and more hotels, and they're going to build a 10,000 seat stadium just 2 blocks from here.
What?
Yeah. We have
lot.
Indian tribe here. We have Indians, we'll have the casinos and all that, and they partnered up with a large promoter company. So it'll be hockey team and a 10,000 seat stadium, just like right over there.
That's incredible. And hockey, of all things.
Yeah, I think from Seattle.
Desert.
Some kind of Seattle hockey.
But that's going to be a huge draw as well.
Huge draw, yeah.
Do you think it will change because sort of the chemistry because it's
I don't know.
kind of a big
I think it might just add to they're coming here, so we're going to give them the Palm Springs
experience? You can convert them.
Convert them.
Your airport, I literally land, I'm like, am I still in the airport? And I'm outdoors and there's palm trees and nice sounds and a kid's playground.
Yeah.
I was blown away.
Well, and it's going to go into another, they'll be changing it over the next 12 to 18 months and making it more restaurants and more local driven restaurants. And they're going to really, step it up. It's going to be really cool.
It is such an oasis, and it's so interesting to me that we're still in California. There's that California casual vibe, but there's also some purposefulness without being obtuse, you know.
Well, it's a very charitable city. There's a lot of, you know, people are like, why are you moving to Palm Springs? I would say it's a small town with a lot of big town people in it. So half the year, there's some of the wealthiest people in the country that live in the valley, you know. So, and there's a lot of money being donated into the valley. So it's, our museum's amazing, and there's so much money being put into it just from the snowbirds, you know. So it's
absolutely.
Cool. Yeah.
From just sort of a helicopter view, as far as the food scene is concerned, so you're so close to it, and you know, we'll talk about your catering company as part of that. What is kind of your vision? How in the modern culture, what role does food play in us as humans, and how we congregate and what we consume? What does that look like from your point of view?
Well, that's a good question. Well, in the age of like social media and all that, that's changing a lot. I mean, that
very much so.
People can give you a review of the blink of a hat now. You know, before they take more time. Now they can just snap a picture, and it's good and bad. You know,
it's got to be.
It's good and bad, so you have to always be careful. But I think it's important to continue. Like Trio, we're going on our second 10 years, like I call it, and you have to diverse. You have to, you know, go with the. Everyone likes our favorites, but then we have to add some new things. You know, like how we change from whitefish to ahi tuna. You know, so what's the next thing? So, so I think with the social media, I think for me and for Palm Springs, we're getting younger guests coming to town, especially in the summer when summer used to be dead. No, but it's steady on the weekends now in the summer.
Interesting.
You know, I mean, there's all kind of deals and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And the people are coming are under 40.
That's really interesting, because I feel like we're evolving into somewhat of a foodie culture. It used to be more exclusive to certain groups that could afford it. You know, the fine dining. There was like this big gap.
Well, I think fine dining is I don't think that's dying. There anymore. Yeah, I mean, it's there, but for someone open up a fine dining, unless it's like a big chain like Mastro's or there's an Eddie V's that just opened down Valley.
Yeah.
I think those days are gone. I think it's more of the moderate priced, more consistent. You know, where you attracted by everybody.
Yes.
You know, and at least that's what I see. I think it's more about being attracting to all people versus just one
more
type
inclusive.
of person. Yeah.
And of course, everybody's talking about the younger demographic, the proverbial millennial, and maybe the generation right before that. And I think the secret is really establishing a conversation with them, as opposed to just you know, serving what you think they should want. But really, it's a symbiotic thing, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah, and you have to enroll people in what the vision is, and enroll them in trying new things or like experimenting. Like, you know, again, social media can make you or break you, right?
Oh, for sure.
But so if they come in, most of my staff is pretty good about reading the tables, so you know what they're looking for, what they're not looking for. So we try to have them try new things. We have weekly specials all the time.
Cool.
So they can get something off the menu if they don't want it. Then we have, you know, normally we have a fish and meat every week, something new and different. And then, I just think it's just education.
Do you think people are more health conscious? I mean, have
yes,
you noticed
definitely
any
more health conscious.
trends that are very obvious?
We have a lot of gluten-free stuff on our menu.
Yeah.
You know, we just started carrying that Impossible Burger.
I saw that.
Vegan.
Yeah.
So we have to change too, because people's diets are changing.
Absolutely. And your other restaurant that you were partnered
AC3.
with. Yeah, so tell us about that.
AC3 is a collaboration of myself and Andrew Copley and his wife Juliana Copley. And AC is Andrew Copley.
Of course, yeah.
There's three of us, and between us there's three restaurants. And they have another restaurant called Copley's, which is right here.
I walked by there and I noted how adorable it was.
Yeah, it's like an old Clark Gable, like a state or something. It's adorable inside. And they've been there like 15 or 16 years,
Wow.
So we opened AC3. We're connected to a hotel.
Yeah.
And Marriott Autograph Series Hotel. And we're a local business there, but we do all the food service for the hotel and the room service and banquets.
How cool.
Yeah,
what
it's
a
cool.
value added to the
and
guests.
it turned out to be a beautiful place. It looks really great, and the food's affordable, and it's a big bright room, and you're facing the mountains, and it turned out really lovely. It's really a great place.
Well, I'll have to go check it out.
Yeah.
And you have a catering company
we do
as well.
Catering.
Which is,
we do.
Like you didn't have enough to do.
I know. We started Trio Catering a couple years ago, and then before that was a company like Liquid Catering, so just bar service. So we can either give you a full service with food, or you just need bar service. We can give you bar service. Yeah.
Very cool.
So, and that's all I'm doing for now.
Yeah, just a little bit. So again, in the sense of a bigger conversation, we have become citizen reviewers. Social media, like you said, is changing palates, changing minds, and such like that. And most of these things are good. The evolution is, almost always rocky, but it's good to be moving in that direction. Do you feel like there's something missing from the conversations, the contemporary wine, or I should say beverage, because that includes distillates too, and food scene? Do you think that we should be paying attention to something that we're missing out on?
Well, I'm sure there is. I mean, I live in a bubble here, kind of, so I have to pay attention to what's going on in the other parts of the country.
Absolutely.
And even though there's a restaurant up here, he's very innovative. He's like the only person that has like wine in the tap.
Nice.
But people locally think that's kind of weird, but that's really hip in LA and all these other big cities, so you can't be too trendy here. Even though they're coming from there, they're not expecting to be in LA. Like, they want to come to a Palm Springs restaurant, they don't want to feel like they're in an LA restaurant when they're from LA. So it's kind of like an interesting combo. But I didn't answer your question, did I?
No, it's okay. I was just curious if you had some thoughts and musings on what's maybe absent that we should be really focused on more.
I think the focus needs to be a little bit more education.
Education, yeah, you highlighted that before.
Yeah, I think it's just because even with the millennials, they're drinking wine, and they're not drinking our house wine. They're drinking better wine, so that means they're learning, they're educating at a younger age. I mean, when I was in my 20s and 30s, I would just order whatever someone told me to order, But they know what they're drinking, they know what they like. And so we do, on occasion, if we don't have something, like if someone asks for it, I'm like, well, why don't we have that? Let's have it.
Nice.
If they're going to ask for it, someone else can ask for it.
So
we
flex.
add it. Oh, yeah, no,
So you've been in the business now for a long time, really on and off. Like your whole life. What advice would you give to an aspiring restaurateur that's just trying to figure out if that's their thing and like getting their feet wet? Like advice / caution / inspiration. What are you?
Yeah, I think one and the main thing is be focused. And committed. And you got to have it. It's got to be coming from passion. It can't be just from doing.
Yeah.
The restaurant business is about passionate business. It's not about doing or making it. You got to be passionate about it. You got to make your staff feel passionate. You got to.
It's a leadership part.
It totally
right?
is a leadership thing. Yeah.
Yes, because there's a mini culture in every establishment, and it's subliminal. When you walk in,
Well, and I do a lot of side work on myself, like transformational kind of work to keep me focused. Yeah. So I just came back from a workshop, and my staff's like, "What happened here?" So I'm talking about re-enrolling them, and I want to make sure that they're all enrolled with me and the business and our vision, and so I'm doing all that kind of stuff. So every few years I go through this, so they're used to me coming in. But it was really cool to watch this time because I felt I was very effective, and I've been probably off a little bit the last few years.
Yeah.
Things happen and stuff like that, but they all committed on their own of what they're going to produce this month and what they're going to do and hold them accountable and blah, blah, blah. And it was really a fun meeting. It was really cool.
That's really cool.
And they're all razzed and they're all excited because the normal routine, and probably most restaurants, like, okay, we're going to do this month, pick a number and but this time we picked a number together. But how we're going to do it is everyone does their job. Like everyone's got to sell so much. Everyone's got to sell so much of this and so much of that. And so it was a combination thing. It was really fun.
It's so interesting what you're just describing because it's almost universal. I mean, there's a lot of truths that repeat in every successful business. And part of what you're describing is that investment, like you have a skin in the game, you're working towards a greater good. Mm-hmm. There's a purpose to what you do. And really promoting that spirit, that takes a lot of presence, mental presence, not just physical.
Yeah.
And you mentioned some of the stuff that you're doing with yourself, like self-evolution, development. If you can talk a little bit about that, like what does that mean? It's kind of like
a leadership roles, Look we're humans, right? So every year things happen that may stop you in life or and you don't really realize it, And for me personally, the last 3 years have been different things happen every year. And so I thought to myself, something doesn't feel off. Like I'm not as passionate as I used to be and all that kind of stuff. And so I did this leadership program in San Diego, and it was amazing. Like,
Yeah.
you thought you got stuff cleared about your parents years ago, you know? I mean, I've done work with Tony Robbins, landmark education, all kinds of stuff over the years.
Yeah.
And it still comes up.
Yeah.
Life is life, you know? And sometimes you're not ready for something to hit you, and you gotta keep going and not handle it. Or you think you handle it the way you handle it, but you don't, because I gotta be a smiling face in that room every day.
Absolutely.
You know, so it feels really good to be in this space of enrolling, because I'm not enrolling to sell you anything. I'm just enrolling you in me or in that business, or have my staff enroll you in a great meal. You know, it's all about an enrolling conversation. And I think that that gets missed in a lot of businesses that get owned. And they open, you know, we live our lives sometimes with scarcity, and we live our lives with like doubt and all this kind of stuff. When I opened Trio 10 years ago, this had to make it, because I already lost everything. So we begged, borrowed, and stealed, and I was determined no matter what to do to make that business work. And that's what it takes. You know, a lot of times people in this world today, they get investors, and there's not always the big commitment that they probably should have, you know, because they're not using their own money.
I think that's such an important moment. I mean, what you said, I think, should be on billboards, because you have to be fully committed, invested. There's no plan B.
No, there's not, right.
Like, your life depends on it. And I think it permeates the spirit of what you create and how you treat your guests.
Yeah.
And that's really, it's not really a secret, but a lot of people miss out on that.
Right.
And the fact that you took such ownership in every sense of the business. This is your baby.
Yeah, I birthed that kid.
Yeah, and you still, you know, it never grows up.
And we gotta get through college, and I gotta get to retirement someday, and you know, and the restaurant business is not as profitable as it used to be. You know, not at all. Especially in California. Of course. You know, everything's more expensive here.
Yes, indeed.
And so between payroll and expenses, so if you don't watch everything, you could lose money really fast, even though you have a successful 10-year business.
Of course.
That's my point. So, you know, all of a sudden I'm like, what's happening? I'm not paying attention. I got to jump back in, you know? This is my baby. I can't. So, and I don't think a lot of people in life pay attention to that, like themselves. Like, it's easy to lose yourself in a business. It's easy to lose your taking care of yourself, because you're worrying about 70 employees and, you know, all this kind of stuff. But we have to take care of ourselves first so that we can take care of others. You know, so
again, that airplane analogy, put a mask on yourself.
That's right.
True. It's interesting to me because we became such a culture of celebrity chefs, and the whole food scene is perceived as some romantic, you know, very elevated, of course, but skipping through the tulips kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And that's really not what it is on the inside. It's a lot of hard work, a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of watching the bottom line. And at the end of the day, it's all for the sake of that next guest that walks in and a smile on their face and them having the best experience. Right. And you get to do it all over again every day. It's a never-ending story, is it?
No, I mean, that's what I put into our vision statement. I always have to glance at it.
Yes.
So consistently creating amazing, fun experiences, one table at a time.
That's perfect.
We're only as good as our next meal.
Yes.
Right. So, and I accept that from day one. So we got to make that meal just as good, because they're not going to come back if it's not.
Yeah.
You know, so, but the deal I have with the staff is I'll get the people in here.
Yep.
You make sure they come back. My job is to market,
Brilliant.
Build it up, get it in. I share with them all the new ideas I'm doing. We talked about in social media and stuff like that, because I want them all to be on it, and I want them to like our page and get all that thing going and be part of it. And they're rewarded. I give incentives. I mean, I'm not shy to talk about it. I mean, if we hit our goal, I'm giving back 2% of our master goal to the staff that hits their goals.
That's great.
So, and I did that from day one. Everyone has to do a minimum of wine sales, if you're full-time or part-time. And I would give contests for the most specials sold, the most wine sold, all the tickets, all the items that would increase our ticket sales, because our price point's not expensive. So I've always built the business that way. And it's always about coaching and training.
Yes.
From day one.
You have an incredible knack for marketing, which is also sometimes notably absent in small businesses, and they explain it by saying, you know, my time's too short, I just can't get there. They outsource it. So tell us about the marketing piece of it. It seems like it's in your blood as well.
Well, I'm a salesman at heart, right? All my life, pretty much a salesman. But, you know, marketing, that was a big push in the beginning. Like, when you open a business, you don't have a lot of money, so you have to figure out how to do it with very little money. And a lot of times, TV stations and radio stations will do it for trade. Partial. So at least you can get a little bit out of that.
Yeah.
But at one time, I was on a billboard. I was in every magazine. Like in the beginning, first 5 years, I was everywhere just to build the brand really quickly, 2020 is a different world. It's mostly all social media now, so I have to learn that, and I'm old. I ask my staff, what's this, what's that, and now this coaching company I have, part of it's business coaching, and they're all about social media and all about e-blasts and Facebook Messengers, huge.
Yes.
So I'm learning fast to experiment things, and I don't know if everyone else does like that. I think I've always been a little bit out of the norm when it comes to stuff like that, because people are like, Trio's everywhere. Well, okay, I'm glad you know that.
You have this inherent curiosity about life. I think you're a very driven person.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the keys to success, the way I define it, is that this eternal quest really for bettering and for learning new things and challenging yourself.
Well, I want them to learn things too. I've had many staff that I've lost because either I coached them to be a real estate agent or they didn't want to do something else in life. Like, I'm all for that. We have staff that started off as a dishwasher and is bartending now. So if they're willing to do the job, I'm willing to let them work. And move up.
And there's a mentorship piece there as well.
Totally. Yeah. No, years ago. If you're Tony's boy, you get the best hours and you get all this kind of stuff, right? Well, and to be one of my favorites, you got to work your butt off. You got to make sure you're here every day. You got to outsell everybody. You got to do, so there's pros and cons to all that. So, I've kind of dwindled that off, but we have one server who outsells everybody by twice. So I got him now this year. He's going to start training the other staff to do what he does. And it's not complicated. He just controls his table.
Sounds like work ethic to me.
Totally. Well, he's there. He's committed to have you a good time, to get the right food on your plates, give you good service. Some people don't like that. Like, I wouldn't like someone to control my table because I want to control the table. But 98% of the people, he 3 times he outsells everybody. So that's now, because I would do these master plans, now I want everyone to do their individual goals so they feel good about themselves.
Yes.
They're not going to do it high as Dominic. Maybe. We got one guy that's kicking his butt right now. But if they did 40 bottles of wine, right, and they used to do 25, now they've done better.
Yep.
So that's why I base it on individual progress instead of, the end result is the team, but they all could pass their goals for themselves to make them feel better for themselves.
From the guest perspective, we all eat. We all wind up in front of the menu and the seat. What do you think we can do from the consumer point of view to maximize our experience? What question should we be asking?
Thank you for asking that question. Okay. I've always wanted to say this, so I'm going to say it now, first time
Please.
Here. So the biggest upset someone could do is not address your issue at the table.
Okay.
Like, if there's something wrong with your steak, tell the server. They could fix it right now instead of you sitting here stewing, eating it through the whole process, or going to your app and say how terrible something was. Communicate with the restaurant. Communicate with your server. Look, there's human beings that work in that kitchen. Off days, good days, great days. So maybe something's not going to come out perfect, but tell somebody that could fix it.
It is so important. I want to shout from the rooftops right now because I've been in this situation myself. I think inherently most of us are conflict avoidant, and we perceive it as some variety of conflict if we complain, quote unquote, about what's in front of us. So you're right. What happens is that we eat something that we're not happy with, and we're having this argument in our heads, and you're saying, stop it. Start communicating.
Communicate. Some people say, well, I didn't want to disrupt the table. Well, but you're going to sit here and be upset at me for something that I could fix for you within 3 minutes or 4 minutes. Yeah. A good example, when we first opened the new restaurant, there's 3 ladies that are sitting around talking. I said, ladies, how was lunch? Terrible. Terrible. So I sit down next to them, like, what happened? Well, not enough dressing on my salad and something to do with bread. I'm like, well, did you tell your server? No, we just won't come back. I said, wait a minute, ladies. So that's not how you need to be. And first of all, we were only open like 3 days. If you're going to go to a new restaurant, wait a month or 2, or try it 2 or 3 times, because most cases people don't have it right the first month or 2 or 3 or whatever. They're trying to work out their kinks. But I think it's so important for me as an owner. I want to know if your meal's good or bad at the time you're in the restaurant. I don't need to read about it on Yelp. You know, I mean,
Exactly.
it's communicate. Okay, so let's call it all about communication, both ends. The staff's communicating with the customer, the customer communicating with the staff. Yeah, I mean, I read a review, I'm like,
Yeah.
we could have fixed that for them. Like, why didn't they say something?
And please bear in mind when you write that review, it's a business that has employees that are human beings
You're
that are
jeopardizing
suffering.
70 people's jobs, you know,
Yes,
for over
that's
something
a
that
big
you could have
deal.
fixed or I could have fixed or that really didn't make any difference, you know.
Yeah.
So I think if I could relay anything to somebody, please, no matter what restaurant you're in, just express your upset or express what's wrong.
Yeah.
Or express what's fantastic. This was a delicious meal, or, you know, but let them know how they're doing in the restaurant.
Yeah,
think it's
communication. It's so important. So do you have any curious war stories from your vast experience? Anything that stands out? Anything funny, goofy, strange?
This one lady, when we first opened, she was a short little lady, probably in the 70s or 80s at the time. I can't remember who she was, but she walked up to the host and she goes, "Are you the owner?" I said, "Yeah, I'm the owner." She goes, "I love Trio." I said, "Why do you love Trio?" "It makes me feel young. Like I want to put on a commercial now, you know,
Oh my
over
God,
the years."
that's so sweet.
we have people come in and dress in orange. Because our color is orange. I'm like, "We're coming to Trio. We thought we wear our orange dresses." I'm like, "You look great. I might put you to work." You know, I joke with them.
So
So
fun.
we have a lot of loyal, fun people like that. There's,
But you should take so much credit for it because it doesn't just happen. You facilitated that and you instituted that.
Thank you.
you know, that kind of a
I guess
vibe.
I did. There's no one else there, right?
No, but it's rare. It feels very easy and simple, but it's not easy and simple
Right.
to create.
Yeah.
When it feels very elegant, very high end. It's definitely when you walk in, it's got an upscale vibe.
Right.
But it's
Casual.
yes, but the value added is. I mean, the food looks visually stunning. I haven't eaten it yet. Full disclaimer, but you know, it can't be anything but stellar from what I've seen on the plates, just because it looks so good, it looks so appetizing, vibrant, and such like that. That Bloody Mary cocktail with a couple of shrimp hanging out of there, I was eyeing. So yes, there's that feast for the eyes, and people are smiling. The hostess introduced herself with a big smile.
Yeah.
So you set the tone.
Yeah.
Super important.
Yeah. Well, that's the first thing you see when you walk in the door. So they're the face. They're the face before when you walk in. They're the face when you exit.
Yes.
So it's important that they're there. Someone's always standing there.
Yes. So what makes you the happiest? What makes Tony happy? Not just in the food space, but what personally?
Oh boy.
I know, a loaded question.
What makes Tony happy?
And it can't be restricted to professional, but like if you are in your happy space, I know you like hiking from what you described.
Yeah.
but, like what brings a smile to your face?
When how do I say this? When I walk to the restaurant and I see all these happy faces and they're smiling and they're having a good time and they're laughing and they're doing their thing, you know. There was here's another funny story.
Oh, good.
This is years ago, but my partner Mark and I were eating at a bar table, as we used to do like later in the evening before we closed. And we get these bachelorette parties, and this time there's a bachelorette party in the front and a bachelor party in the back.
Oh my!
They're switching notes back and forth, and like they were just having a ball. One guy gets up off his chair, takes his shirt off, and like starts throwing it around. And all of a sudden, this guy comes up to us. It's 10:30. "Why do you let this happen?" I said, "This is Trio. They can do what they want here. Like they're having fun." You know, they said, "Well,
Great.
what if I had my kids here?" I go, "Sir, it's 10:30. If you had your kids here, I would question you." Like, what do you
Your parenting skills
you know,
might be
it's like,
slightly off.
but like even so, my staff was welcome, and I walked around a couple of there's older couples in the dining room. So I'm like, "Are you okay with this?" God, they're getting married. They're having fun, you know, and that's what we want. You know, when you're a Trio, we want you to have fun. We want you to enjoy yourself. Don't go crazy, but you know, have a good time.
I think that's such an amazing sentiment. I mean, I think we've gotten, again, a little bit too afraid to express ourselves for fear of offending someone. And yes, there are boundaries. Nobody's advocating.
Absolutely,
But having that free-spirited approach, like you can really enjoy yourself.
Yeah,
think
I
that's
want you
huge.
to. I want to make sure you do.
That's
you know.
awesome.
We
So-
used to do. We tend to get bachelorette parties in the summer. Palm Springs, all over Palm Springs, and they're great. They're lovely. They eat and they drink and have a good time. So, at one point we did a. Do you want to hear a funny story?
I do.
So at one point for bachelorette party, we still do a penis cake.
I've only seen them in Belgium before.
No, we have them here. They're chocolate penis cakes. And back in the day, we would do an apron. I would get from Mexico, and you pick up the apron, and a pee-pee would pop up, right?
Oh my!
So that was part of the bachelorette party. So the boys would come out in the back and do the whole thing. Well, it got really loud. So the cake gets a ah, and then the apron would get a scream. So we got rid of the apron because it got so loud. So there's no screaming. Now we just get with the odds. So we want people to have fun.
Of course.
We just,
No, we do need to loosen up. And I think once you give people permission to just be themselves, it's really nothing, out of the ordinary, nothing untoward.
Yeah.
You just have a little bit of fun, then you move on, right? So what are some of your favorite places to dine, not just in Palm Springs, but in general?
Oh, well, I'm a creature of habit because I kind of stay right here in the neighborhood. I actually, crazy enough, I live right next door.
Oh, that is crazy.
I walk to this back parking lot here, and I walk to Trails parking lot.
That is your world.
This is my world. So I like hanging out down here. Copley's, Birba's a really great pizza place. Cheeky's is great for breakfast.
Nice.
Workshop Kitchen is very cool. And then there's a place downtown called Johannes I like to go to, and Spencer's. I go to Puerto Vallarta often. There's a great little restaurant there called Tre Piatti, which is amazing food.
And
lovely
I've been
couple.
To Puerto Vallarta and I missed that. Now
it was great. He's, I think she's from there. He's Israeli. But yeah, the food is just amazing. Everything's it's
good
great.
To know.
Yeah, and I like to try new places, and stuff like that.
Isn't that the most important thing? Just
I like to go just to try them. Everyone's like, "Oh, you're trying out the competitors." No, not really. I'm just going to go have dinner and try something new, and support the restaurateurs that open up.
Yes. You have some favorite wine producers that you?
Well, I'm a Pinot Noir guy.
Yes, standing ovation.
So I'll try all the Pinot Noirs I could ever try if I can. I'm in love with this one called Luli.
Oh yes, that's from Anderson Valley.
I think so. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and then new to our menu is Tally.
Tally's very good.
Now.
Central Coast, solid. More kind of Burgundian style, right? Old world.
It's good. So yeah, I'm a kind of a Pinot guy. That's pretty much all I drink.
Well, Pinot is pretty transparent and varietal.
Yeah.
That's what I love it for, is that if you screw it up, you're a done.
Right.
It has to be good or you're a done.
Yeah.
And it kind of matches your spirit. I mean, you obviously are striving for perfection, but in a way that's practical.
Yeah, nothing's perfect. I mean, I always joke, I thank God I was born perfect, but it's not the case.
That's awesome. What's in store for the future? Obviously you're plenty busy, especially with the festival and such like that, but what is your vision for the next 10 years?
Oh, well, so there'll be trio at the Palm Springs Airport.
Very cool.
And then the goal would be San Diego and Phoenix.
I am so happy to hear that, because I think that your spirit needs to be there in other places and set the standard and really show people how cool it could be. The whole dining, the not just the wine and food, but really, I mean that fully. The atmosphere, the vibe, the intent, all of that. There needs to be more.
Well, Palm Springs, as I said, they're doing this renovation, so the goal is to put a number of local businesses at the airport, so that people are coming and going and feeling the vibe of Palm Springs.
Very awesome. Well, I can't wait to check it out, and there'll be more to come. I hope to sit down with you again. This has been a fabulous conversation.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thanks again for tuning in to the official podcast of Palate Exposure featuring Ilona Thompson. We'll see you again next week.